what are your goals for 2026? If I've got 2 students that come in, and let's say student number 1, they have, let's call her Whitney. Let's say Whitney has a bunch of debt. She is living paycheck to paycheck. She doesn't have an emergency fund. She doesn't have a savings account. She is also working another job. So let's say she's not all in on her company yet. And she doesn't really want a huge company. She doesn't want a bunch of team members. She doesn't want to manage a lot of people. And she actually thinks that working offsite, like doing most of the admin and the back end stuff, would be quite boring. So she wants to stay on site with her team. Okay, so that's student number 1. Student number 2 comes in, and let's call her Brianna. Brianna wants a 7-figure business, right? Like she wants a huge company. She has hopes and dreams to not be on site anymore. She's been in the cleaning industry for 5 years now, working solo, and her body is fatiguing. She knows in her body, but also in her mind, that she's ready to not be on site anymore. Her dream day is like waking up and going to a coffee shop and working from the coffee shop and doing like admin and management. She wants to have that big team to manage. As a mentor, I will not be doing the exact same thing, a cookie cutter plan that works for both of these ladies. I will be doing an individualized, customized plan for each one, because if your destination is literally different, like they literally want different things out of their business, the path to get there is obviously going to look different. And it sounds so obvious saying it out loud, but I swear I've seen it over and over again where people won't set goals. They won't even know. Like when I ask them, what's your vision for your company? What do you want out of your company? It feels scary. Like actually identifying what your goal is feels more scary than just kind of like floating out there and not having a distinct path. And I think the reason why it's scary is because when we get to the end of the year, if we have set a goal and we haven't reached that goal yet, now we feel bad. Now we feel guilty. Like we haven't put in enough effort. Like we haven't done the right things. We're a failure and we're scared of that feeling. But I promise you that knowing what that path looks like, knowing what your final destination is, even if you don't reach it, you're gonna get closer to where you want to go if you have some sort of direction. And that's gonna come from setting a goal. Okay, so now that my TED Talk's over about goals, I'm gonna take you right through the exercise that I take all of my new students coming into my program. So we actually start with this exercise and we end with this exercise. So month 1, day 1, we're gonna do this exercise. We're gonna see what our goals are. Last day of the program, at the end of the 6 months, this is what we're gonna do too, to see how far we've gone, if we've actually reached them. Okay, so have you guys ever heard of the Wheel of Life? I think that's what it's called. Like the Wheel of Life, I'll put it like here. Essentially, it's a goal-setting exercise where it's like family, work, health. It's like the stuff about life, right? So I actually stole this exercise and I use the exact same framework, but I've obviously changed the categories for cleaning companies. I did this a long time ago and I have loved it ever since. So this is the new version of the Wheel of Life. This is the cleaning company specific one that I made up. So let's talk through the new categories. So you can see there's 6 categories here. Each category we're gonna give a rating. So go ahead and draw this for yourself if you're doing this at home, which I highly recommend that you do. You can watch now and do it later, but if you are doing it right now, go ahead and draw your circle, give yourself 6 spaces in that circle. All right, before you give them a ranking, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna rank each category depending on how you're doing in your company. But before that, I wanna give you a definition of each thing because sometimes it's different than what people assume. All right, let's start with operational efficiency. So operational efficiency is essentially your day-to-day in your business. How efficient is it? Is it the case that it's chaos? So you wake up and you get a million texts and your cleaners are calling in and now you have to reschedule clients and clients are canceling and you're like, oh my God, I have this huge gap in the day, and your cleaners are like sitting in a parking lot for an hour waiting to go into the next clean because you couldn't like put them side by side. It's clunky, it's chaos all the time. That would potentially be like a lower rating for the operational efficiency. So if you're solo at this time, it's usually the case that operational efficiency is quite high because like nothing is happening, like you're just going into your cleans, right? But when we start to grow our team and we don't really know how to manage a team or have structure behind it, or we're just feeling the effects of growing a new business, that operational efficiency can go down. It can get into that lower side of the ranking because again, things are going wrong, right? Like we're feeling the effects of growing a business. It's not pretty. So that's operational efficiency. Business growth is going to be really tied to revenue. So I like to rate this category based on where is my business now in this present moment, And how does that basically compare to where I wanted it to be? So is my business exactly where I wanted it to be with revenue? Did I want to hit 500,000 this year and I hit 500,000, so we're good? Or did I want to hit 500,000 and we're still at 100,000? I just can't figure out how to grow. I don't know what sales strategies to put in place. My team won't handle growth because I can't figure out how to retain cleaners or get good quality from them, all that stuff. So business growth, really tie it to revenue and compare it to where you want it to be. If you're not where you want it to be, you're pretty far off, maybe it's a lower ranking. If you're exactly where you wanted it to be, maybe it's a 10 out of 10. Okay, financial health, that one I tie my personal finances to my business finances. So think, what do you actually take from the business, right? If you take nothing from the business and the business finances aren't supporting you as the owner, and that's not good. And how are your personal finances outside of the business? Maybe you do work another job and you're making money from that, and so you're paying the bills, right? And that's great. So maybe it's a 5 out of 10 because you're not really where you want to be with the business. You're still having to work another job, but that does cover things. Maybe it's the case that you're only working in the business and it literally doesn't cover the bills yet. Like we're in a state of urgency with our finances. Something needs to change or we're going to have to quit the business altogether. Maybe that would be a really low ranking, like a 1 or a 2. If your finances are exactly where they want to be or where you want them to be, 10 out of 10. Personal alignment. Okay, so that one is going to be, I explained this one by just saying, when you wake up in the morning, are you excited to work? Right? Like if you're dreading going into work every day, it's probably the case that whatever it is you're doing is not aligned with what you wanted out of your company. So for instance, if you are going on site every day and your body is screaming at you because you're sore, you feel pain in your lower back, you have been cleaning for years and years and years, and you just want to do anything but the physical labor right now, probably be a low ranking on the personal alignment category. If you're on the flip side, waking up and you're excited about the day, you are going to networking events and you're like nervous, but it's like you're happy about it because you get to meet new people and you get energy from it, then that would be a higher ranking on personal alignment. Just to give you an example, it's truly whatever that looks like for you, and each person's what they want out of their business is going to be completely different. So if you're not getting what you want out of your business in terms of your day-to-day, like are you excited to wake up in the morning and do that thing? That's good, right? So make that personal to you. Client satisfaction, that one's obvious. I would say, just to give this a clear like system, if you're getting 1 complaint a week, I would say it's pretty low on the client satisfaction. If you're getting 1 complaint every 6 months, pretty high on the client satisfaction. Just to give you like a metric there. Employee satisfaction, that is actually how satisfied are your employees with you. So if you don't have employees, just mark that category blank right now, or cross it out. But if you do have employees, I get a better indication from that dynamic rather than if you're satisfied with your employees. Your employees might not tell you directly how satisfied they are. It's not like they're giving you a ranking system unless you do a survey. Most of the time we just don't know. So that's going to be your best guess just based on what you've experienced. So are people complaining about the job? Are they asking for a raise all the time and they're complaining about money? And so whatever you're able to pay them is not sustaining their bills. Are you getting complaints about other people on the team from other people, so they're complaining about each other? Are you getting complaints from the cleaners about the clients? All of those things kind of give you an indication that might be lower on the satisfaction scale. For employees, if you're not hearing anything and everybody seems pretty happy, it might be a little higher. So you might not know 100% on that one, but just give it your best guess. So now I want you to actually rate each category. So each category has its own rating. And again, like we were talking about as I was explaining them, lower end of the rating is going to be 0, higher end is going to be 10. So each category should be rated 0 to 10 on a sliding scale depending on how you feel about that category. So give yourself a second to do that. Okay, now that you've rated each category, I want you to write down and force rank your top 3 categories. Okay, so now that you've chosen your top 3 categories, I want you to brain dump goals in each category. So give yourself enough space to write down these goals, and a couple things to keep in mind as you're doing that. So I want you to write it so that you can actually read it, make it legible, because we're gonna go back and review review these goals at the end. And I want you to write it out clearly and specifically. So maybe financial health is one of the top ranked categories for you. So we're going to brain dump goals on financial health. And maybe it's the case that you want to have, maybe it's the case that you want $20,000 in a savings account. Why do you want $20,000 in a savings account? I want you to get super specific, because as you're doing that, we're going to, in our mind, we're going to be like, okay, well, if $20,000 is going to the down payment in the house, what else do I need money for, right? Like, what else do I need in my savings account? Maybe you want your retirement fund for your parents. Maybe you want a college fund for your students. And if you get specific, it'll just help you brainstorm. It'll just give you more ideas that you can write down. Okay, so you give yourself 5 minutes per category. So pause this if you're actually doing this at home. If you're doing it later, again, it's gonna be 5 minutes per category. So you should do at minimum 15 minutes. Okay, once you have brain dumped these goals, we now need to do something that's really difficult, which is pick our top 3. So if you're picking your top 3, you're literally picking 3 total. So not 3 in each category, 3 total. So it can be all 3 in one category, 1 from each category, or mixing and matching, but it has to be 3. Again, we're narrowing our goals down, so we're not focused on like a million things at once. It just causes us to not really work on any of them if we pick too many goals. So that's why I want to pick our top 3. Once you've picked your top 3, which that might take you a minute to do, and that's okay, I want you to see what those goals actually are. So really look at those goals and decide, are they SMART goals? SMART goals are essentially goals that we are tying to a time frame, right? So we're not going to say, I want to hit $500,000. Okay, what do you mean? Like, how long do you want a timeline to be? Do you want it to be in the next 6 months that you have $500,000 in your bank account? Do you want revenue that's $500,000 in the next year? Like, we have to tie it to a time frame, and we have to be specific, which is another thing about SMART goals. It has to be measurable. So like, let's say it's one of our goals is we want to hit $500,000 in revenue in a year in our business. Well, at the end of the year, we can just run our bank reports, right? And we can see, did we hit 500,000 or not? So that's a measurable goal, achievable. These goals do need to be achievable. And something that I like to do for these like top 3 goals that we're deciding here is I like it to be a 6-month or 1 year time frame. So some people will disagree with me on that, and that's okay. I just like to have my goals be not too long term in this exercise, because my brain just can't comprehend them sometimes. It almost seems like if I set my goals out too far, which again, we're dreaming in these like goals. We want to dream. We want it to be the case that if in 10 years we want a 7-figure business, like, yes, we want to write that down. But for the top 3 goals, I really like to narrow down the ones that are going to be in 6 months to a year, because if I pick the ones that are too far out, it almost seems like it's unclear what the path is to get there. So if, for instance, your like dream goal is to get to 7 figures, well, what are you going to get to this year? What's an achievable goal this year where you can look and it's measurable and you're like, okay, I've achieved this, and it's an indication that I'm going to reach my dream goal in 10 years because I'm on the trajectory to get there. Okay, so I think so far I've covered S in SMART goals, which is specific. M is measurable. A is achievable. T I've covered, which is just time constrained, so you actually set like a time frame for it. R is relevant. Obviously, if we're talking business here, it's going to be relevant. Don't make it something like maybe it's a case that you're going all in on your cleaning business, right? And you're not doing your 9 to 5 anymore. And on your top ranked goal, you have partner with Gymshark. Are you going to put energy and effort towards that goal? Like, are you building out your life to achieve that goal? Or do you just want it to happen on the back of your cleaning business? Because it's probably not going to happen on the back of your cleaning business, right? So that's what relevant is. Obviously, if you make these goals about your cleaning business, it's probably going to be relevant. Okay, so it doesn't end with this exercise. Now we need to action these goals. So when you're actually looking at these goals, again, let's say your goal was to hire 15 people. Something that I do is I live and breathe by my Google Calendar, okay? So when you look at my Google Calendar, it literally time blocks throughout the day, everything that I'm doing. So, and once a week, I'm looking forward to my week in advance to dictate what is what is happening in this next week that actually is getting me closer to my goals. So when I create these 3 goals for myself, now this is giving me a direction that I want to go in my life. And I know on a day-to-day basis if that's the direction that I'm going, because I'm planning in advance, okay? So you've got your Google Calendar up, you've got your goals up, and you're creating your schedule for the next week, and you're making sure that what you're doing on your schedule is actually getting you closer to those goals. So if I were to look at the next few weeks on your calendar, if your goal was to hire, if I saw that you were doing, maybe you were setting up your payroll software, so you've got a meeting with ADP. Maybe you're creating a checklist for yourself so that you know you're compliant with employees. Maybe you're creating your sick day policy. Maybe you're creating a handbook. Maybe you're creating your training system. All of that to me would indicate that yes, we are getting closer to this goal, okay? So you actually want to think, what are my goals and how am I getting closer to it by building out the calendar that gets me there? So that's how you actually action these goals, which is by far, in my opinion, the most important part. I hope this video was value to you. If you did enjoy it, this video is sponsored by Jobber, so thank you so much, Jobber. If you own a cleaning company, this is the software that I recommend using. I genuinely recommend it over every other software. I owned a cleaning company for a long time, sold that cleaning company this year. We used Jobber for years in that one. Then when I sold it, the person who bought it locally actually had Jobber as their CRM too. So it was a really seamless transfer over, like literally it took less than a week to like transfer the whole entire business over. It was wild. And then I'm also hopefully closing in the next couple days on a new business that I'm purchasing, and that cleaning company also uses Jobber. So I just highly recommend it. It literally makes it so easy. And both businesses, the business that I used to own and the new business that I'm buying into, both had administrative assistants. So the administrative assistant just takes care of everything. Jobber makes it possible to delegate. It makes everything super systematic, and I mean, you guys know, if you have seen anything that I put out there, you know that I'm like all about the system. So Jobber has made that possible for me, and I just love them so much. So again, thank you, Jobber, for sponsoring this video. If you guys think that that would be helpful for your company, a CRM, just getting organized, getting all of the systems in place for your day-to-day operations, there's going to be a link in the bio for a discount code if you guys would like to try that for free. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. I really do hope that this video was helpful, and I'll see you in my next one.